We've got the RBH Sound 85i Impression Tower. That's what we're going to be talking about in today's video. Hey folks, I'm Gene Delasella with Audioholics. We got James Larson back in the house to talk about speakers. How you doing, James?
I'm good. Good.
Well, James, you've been doing a lot of coverage of slim towers lately. You did the last RBH speaker that had a similar kind of design concept of the 85i. It was a modular tower. It was called the 61 SFMR. We did a review of that. You gave your analysis of that. That speaker was pretty spendy. It was, over $5,000 a pair. So RBH has an answer to those that want something that's more down to earth, affordable, but similar kind of design philosophy. And that's the new Impression series. I think this is the second gen Impression series, the 85i.
Yeah, this is like I don't think that's quite like they do share a similar design from the SFM/R speakers that we reviewed not that long ago, but these are smaller and they're like more mini, and they're like the SFMRs, and they're kind of full range, but these are just like if you want something that's smaller and less expensive. Yeah, but they do share some similar design principles.
Yeah, these are just so you guys know, these are $1,300 a pair. So that's, much more down to earth, and they're assembled and made in the United States. The cabinets are made in the United States. So that's rare to get a speaker, especially at this price, made in the United States.
It's probably honestly the only one in this class.
Yeah.
There's not another speaker like that costs that much. That's assembled in, arguably made in the United States. I know the drivers aren't made in the United States, but everything else is basically made in the United States. Like it's assembled, and they're USA made speakers. I mean, for all intents and purposes.
So just going over this, it's a three-way design. It's got a 1-inch silk or a soft dome tweeter, 5¼ inch cast aluminum driver, and it actually has a real phase plug. It's not like a dust cap that looks like a phase plug, pseudo phase plug. It's actually a real phase plug on the driver, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, an 8-inch woofer near the bottom. So and like the SFM /R we did, the 61 SFM/R, you can almost think of this as a bookshelf speaker mounted on a subwoofer, because it's this very low crossover frequency, 100 hertz. It's very low. And so that means the speaker, the bookshelf, or the mid-range and the tweeter is playing everything above 100 hertz, right? Which basically makes it a normal bookshelf mounted on top of a subwoofer with an 8-inch driver. So these are like full, but because of the extension of these speakers, it basically makes them full range speakers. Like they're tuned like the port tuning is 30 hertz. That's very deep for a speaker like this.
Yeah, and we'll see it in the measurements, and we'll talk about it in your listening test. And guys, look at the links down below. We have a full written review that we published about a week or so ago by James Larson. He gets into details of the listening test for both music and movies. And I believe you did this entire review in 2-channel. You didn't add subwoofers. You didn't run it in surround sound. Is that correct?
No, these just don't need subs. It would be almost contrary to their purpose to add subs to a speaker like this.
This is really intended, like the 61 SFMR. This is really intended for a 2-channel system. It's intended for the buyer that doesn't want to add powered subs, that wants to have a full range experience. And in this case, it's from a compact, affordable speaker. Now, you could use subs in conjunction with it, but we'll talk about this again later. You want to really run this speaker full range all the time, regardless of whether or not you have subs.
So yeah, these speakers you can only get direct from the company. Here's how they came. They're packed very well. Actually, considering they're not super expensive speakers. They're double box, but the interior box is separated by the exterior box by some polyethylene foam blocks. And yeah, so that's how they came packed. You can go to the next slide.
And I think Dream Media sells them too, and I'll put some affiliate links if you guys are interested in purchasing these as well.
Oh, okay. All right. Here's the pictures of the speakers, both with and without the grills. We're, as always, we're the only people to like publish or review photos of speakers with grills. Most reviewers don't even I've seen like websites or our product pages that have pictures of the speakers but won't have pictures of the speakers with grills. So we actually have that. And I
Yeah.
think that's kind of important. Anyways, they're nice looking speakers. They're not like wildly stylish, right? But they have a real satin black finish. This is not like some kind of textured like vinyl finish, right? It's a real satin black finish done in the United States, right? So it's like super rare. You just don't find that,
Well,
especially.
the other interesting thing is, again, $1,300 a pair, real bass extension. The grills are actually magnetic grills. They're not. There's no peg holes on the baffle, and I believe you said the neodymium magnets on it are pretty strong. Like I found with all the RBH speakers I've reviewed lately, their neodymium slugs they put on the grill covers are just crazy strong.
Yeah, they don't get knocked off easily. If they did, obviously they wouldn't do a good job of protecting the speakers. But yeah, so I mean, they look fine. You can't really complain about them. You can say maybe they're not like very how do you want to say, they're not over the top for sure, but they're not ugly. They're just like regular speakers. They're just fine looking regular speakers. A slot ported speaker. Here's a picture of the rear on the left side. There's a slot ported speaker. The slot port is on the back, as you can see. Obviously, there's the 8-inch woofers mounted low. Yeah, so like side firing 8-inch woofers, and like that's a pretty good place for them. So you get like floor loading, from the
Yeah,
driver's side. You won't get any like bounce cancellation, and
it
bass.
eliminates ground bouts. Basically, it's like having a subwoofer on the floor.
Yeah, like as the design suggests, this bookshelf speaker mounted on a subwoofer in a single package. So
Now it comes with those outriggers too, because I see some outriggers on here.
yeah, I think they might have changed them some better outriggers. So I think these are the old outriggers. I seem to recall I talked to Shane who designed these speakers, Shane Rich at RBH, and he says these are the old outriggers. If I remember correctly, they
Okay.
wanted to put new and better ones on. So like you could do better than these outriggers. If you bought them
Well, it's still
today.
pretty cool that they even came with outriggers at that price point.
Well,
So
yeah, given the dimensions of these speakers, you kind of need that because like long, tall speakers. Um, yeah, so here's a picture, a close up of the tweeter, silk dome tweeter. It's a pretty good tweeter. There, I opened up the cabinet. You can see the woofer is exposed.
mhm.
There's plenty of stuffing in the
A
cabinet.
lot of
These are
stuffing. Yeah.
well-built cabinet. It's not a heavy speaker, but the cabinet is pretty inert. They use HDF instead of MDF.
Yeah, they use HDF, which is again an unusual trait for a budget speaker. HDF is a denser kind of particle board, right?
Yeah,
Or
high density fiberboard versus medium
fiberboard, yeah.
density. Yeah, so it's a denser, thicker build. It'll last longer for that. It's like, yeah, there's like, it's crazy, that given the build quality and their USA manufacturing and the price point, reconciling that with the price point, right? These are the only ones like it. So yeah.
A small little detail is look at the wiring. It's all twisted pair. It's not dental floss. They actually use pretty thick wiring, and they did twisted pair to eliminate any type of magnetic interference, or mutual coupling between wires. So that's pretty cool that they put that level of detail into, again, a budget speaker.
Yeah, you just don't see this. It's pretty wild to see that in a budget made for the United States speaker. Here's a close up of the mid range. You can see that's a serious phase plug, right? It's attached to the pole piece, right? So it's not part of the cone. And yeah, it's a decent 5 1/4 mid range driver.
And it's an aluminum cone, like the woofer.
Yeah, RBH always uses aluminum cones, so like they have a thing for aluminum, but why not, right? It's fine. It works well. So
Yep.
here's a picture of how I measured it. I normally measure it. I use a stand normally for bookshelf speakers, but because this wasn't a very heavy tower, I was able to get it up there. And so this gives us a lot of like a very good window or a long window before ground bounce like uh, uh, gets or before the reflection of the speaker gets bounces off the ground and hits the mic, which I can filter out. But like the higher up the speaker go, the more bandwidth you get to measure accurately. And so like
Sure.
this is like having the mic so tall with the speaker, I got real excellent measurements.
And just so people know, the reason why James Larson takes the speaker outdoors to measure, he doesn't listen to the speaker outdoors. He measures them outdoors to take away the room influence. That way you get the true response of the speaker, and every speaker is measured in a very similar manner without the interference of room acoustics.
Yeah, obviously we don't. I mean, I should start listening like this, but I don't. Yeah, so this is just measuring the speaker itself, absent of the room's influence, as you say. So here's a picture, like a 3D picture of the dispersion, the frequency response versus dispersion, and it's pretty good, especially in the tweeters range, right? You can see there's a little bit of like a dip around the tweeter, the mid-range tweeter transition, but above that, it's very, very even and like smooth. But we get a better look at that in the next slide. You can go
Yep.
to the next slide, which we get like a 2D profile. See, look how flat that is. Except that there's a bump at, say, what, 15 kilohertz, which like
Sure.
it's not going to be offensive, right? That's so high in frequency. There's not even much content that high, right? And like it might just get a little bit of extra air, but in the regions of interest, especially on axis or around the on axis response, it's very flat. We get an excellently flat response from mid range to the high ranges, and like it's what we've learned from this, or especially the next graph, is that it's the kind of off axis response that gives us the flattest response overall. So where you want to be listening, and this is like a top down view of those graphs we just saw. And like where the dark red is, that's where the response is a little hot. So where you kind of want to be listening is where there's just like that kind of like normal red, not the dark red, right? But the regular red. And like that. So this is telling us that this speaker will sound the smoothest wherever there's that like I guess flat red, and that happens at like 20 to 30 hertz. Like, so if you listen to these on
You mean
axis,
20 or 30 degrees?
yeah, yeah, all these terms, you're right, 20 to 30 degrees, you're right. But that tells us this speaker is going to sound, if you listen to this on axis, the treble is going to be about hot. But if you listen to this at, say, 25 to 30 degrees, it's going to be very flat, as the like the pictures we just saw would also tell us. And so yeah, what that means is, if you like a hot treble, like have these speakers aimed right at you. But if you don't, if you want like a neutral response, have the speakers aimed straight forward, so that like they're kind of in a parallel direction. They're facing parallel lines.
Yeah. So
So
basically, when you're setting these speakers up, set them firing straight forward, and then adjust the toe in to taste.
yeah, you can get like a more crisper treble when the closer you are, the more they're pointed directly toward your listening position.
Right.
Yeah, and so this kind of like I guess makes that more explicit. So like at 0 degrees, you get kind of a dip at the crossover region, and then you get like a little bit higher treble. But as you approach 30 degrees, look at the 30-degree response, right? It's
Oh
like
yeah.
really flat, 25, 30 degrees, beautifully flat. But like it's a bit more rocky at like on axis. So the off axis response here, where you would be listening if you had the speakers facing forward in parallel lines, it's like beautifully neutral. And so yeah, that's kind of that's what this is telling us right here.
So when you set this up in your listening test and you talked about the movies and music, were you using any towing or no towing, or just a little bit, or what?
I experimented. I think I did prefer them without towing in, like when they're facing straight forward, right? But with towing, you do get a little bit better imaging, the like center imaging. But
Yeah.
the I mean, you could, it was a little, the treble was a little bit hotter, I think, because there was a recess at the around like above, what is that, 3 kilohertz. And then you have some trouble, right? But so I prefer the tonality of it when it wasn't toned in or towed in. So like I was listening to about where the neutral response is for most of my listening.
Okay.
Here's a picture of the bass response. We don't measure this, as you saw, with the speaker elevated. Actually, we measure this with the microphone on the ground and the speaker on the ground.
Ground plane. Yeah.
Yeah, ground plane measurement. So there's no reflection that would interfere with the the acoustic like information the speaker is projecting. And here it's interesting. So like it's pretty flat down to, what is that, 70 hertz, and then it takes a very gradual roll off. So that means the port is under damped. And that kind of gives it the kind of response you'd see from a sealed speaker. But
Yeah, it looks second order. The slope below like 60 hertz or so looks like it's second order.
so this speaker will benefit from that. Gives a speaker that makes a speaker play with room gain. Rooms that have any gain at all, like a medium size or small room, will have a lot of gain, and that'll shore that response up. So you'll get a very strong response down to, say, like 30, 40 hertz at least. And the port tuning of the speaker is actually at 30 hertz. But since this speaker is ported, the driver, there's not a lot of Um,
Driver movement at the
yeah,
low frequencies.
yeah. There's not a lot of like yeah. The driver doesn't have to its own like excursion isn't pressed as nearly as hard as if it were sealed, so you don't have a lot of just like driver based distortion. There's not a lot of like stress on the driver as you would have if this were actually a sealed speaker. So it's kind of getting the best of both sealed and ported worlds. You know, you get the port takes a lot of stress off the driver, but you also get this nice like kind of gradual. Right, you get the
Like an underdamped response, basically.
yeah, you also get the advantages of the room gain because this roll off is so shallow. So yeah, so like there's a lot of good news here. I wouldn't put these speakers in a large room, but they're small speakers, not meant for large rooms, so that shouldn't be a problem.
Small to medium sized room, basically.
Yeah. So here's the impedance, the electrical impedance. One of those kind of a strange design to have such a low crossover point between the mid and the bass driver. There's nothing weird in the impedance. This is a pretty benign response. Most of it is above like 8 ohms. I think RBH specifies this as a 6 ohm speaker, which is what it is, but this is a very benign 6 ohm speaker. You could say
kudos to them for being honest about it, because most loudspeaker manufacturers, when they have tower speakers, especially with multiple bass drivers, they'll say it's 8 ohm compatible, but then you'll go and measure the impedance and it's clearly a 4 ohm speaker.
Yeah, this is not a 4 ohm speaker. This is like 6 ohm. This is a mild 6 ohm too. So any amplifier can run these speakers with no problem. Any amp. It's just like,
and that's the beauty of it, because most people that are spending $1,300 a pair on a tower, they're going to use it with probably an entry-level amp, receiver, or integrated amp, something that doesn't have like massive power or low impedance drive. So the fact that you can use this with even a streaming amp, you could use it with one of those hot streaming amps right now, the Wim amp or whatever. That's great that they hit their target audience with this speaker.
Yeah, it could work with any amp. So like, but it's a budget speaker. I find a lot of budget speakers actually don't have a very friendly impedance response. You know,
that's interesting.
Yeah,
bad crossover design, probably.
Yeah, bottom line. So pros: serious low frequency extension to 30 hertz. But is of course factoring in room gain, which you will get if you put these in the rooms it's as intended for. You'll get the port tuning of 30 hertz. You're going to get deep bass with this thing. It's a small speaker with deep bass. Smooth and balanced sound and position right. Yeah, on axis, it's sounds fine, but I found the treble to be a tad bright. But when you position it, if you experiment with positioning, you'll get a very smooth response, very neutral response. Small size and a nice finish. This is a speaker that will just vanish. It's a matte, like a satin black. Put it in the corners and no one will even know it's there. So like, it's not obtrusive at all. Wide dispersion, like we said, like a design like this, the wide dispersion is inevitable. So you get like all it covers the entire room basically. Anywhere anyone will be in a good place for like a full range of sound. So that's inescapable with the speaker design, and like we said, largely made in the USA, which is weird for like a budget speaker. Cons, like as you said, on axis sound has like a later so if you, like we said before, if you totally used to face right at you, you might get some hot trouble. Some people like that. I'm not a fan of that, but like with these, you can adjust them to your taste. By just angling them, you can have the kind of sound you want in that respect. The conclusion: a well done small floor standing speaker that has good performance and doesn't break the budget. Hot trouble on axis, but smooth sound outside that. So aim these forward in parallel. Not recommended to high pass filter with a subwoofer. So if sub are used, just run the 85i as a full range speaker. And we see only loudspeaker in this class that is made in the USA. There's nothing.
Yeah. So bottom line, it's a lone wolf in the $1,300 price class. Something that's made in the USA, and that gives you real 30 hertz output, bass output. So you don't need to add a subwoofer. RBH has a pretty unique product on their hands here.
And as you said before, it's probably worth mentioning, if you do use a subwoofer for these, just run these full range. Configure your processor to run these full range, because you don't want to high pass these speakers. They already have like a 100 hertz like crossover frequency. So if you use a sub and then high pass that, it would be kind of a mess.
It can make it more difficult to integrate as a bass managed speaker, for sure.
It also defeat the point of the speaker too.
Right. Yeah. You're buying the speaker for its bass capability, so don't neuter it.
Yeah.
So just some competing speakers.
These
Yeah.
are all well-regarded speakers. There's measurements here and there on these speakers that you can look up if you want to see how it might compare. Like,
You did the Polk one too. You did the R700s.
yes, I did. Yes, but those wouldn't be competitors to these. These are like small speakers. So all these are like small floor stand speakers that are about the same price.
Yeah.
And like I haven't really reviewed any of these, but they all are pretty well regarded. But what separates the 85i is, like we say, there is it's a deeper port tuning. All those will, like, they're not going to dig the 30 hertz. None of those will, But the 85i's absolutely do. And also, all those are made in China, where the 85i's are made in US. I don't want to say made in USA. They probably couldn't technically claim made in the USA per like FTC's like strict regulations, but they do assembly and cabinet enclosure. Like, they're 90% made in the USA, outside of the driver manufacturing. So, like, yeah, those speakers.
I'm
don't
just
have
recapping here your written review. Again, I point people to go to the website to read James Larson's review here. Couple of just memories from, I pulled some pull quotes from your listening sessions, because it's been a while since you've listened to these speakers. Why don't you read this and tell us what you mean by this statement here?
Okay, the percussion had a liveliness and verve that belied the RBH speaker's modest size. Well, basically these are pretty capable speakers. They if you wanted to get loud, they can get pretty loud. I mean, their limit will probably be the bass, but like, the the 5-inch woofer and the tweeter is like what kind of gives you most of the dynamic range. The bass, the 8-inch woofer does too, but if you want really hard bass, that'd be probably asking too much of that 8-inch woofer. But it gets surprisingly loud given their size.
And used within the room dynamic, a medium-sized room, not a giant living room or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, I got pretty good bass, and my room was probably bigger than the kind of room these speakers are intended for. But even then, I wasn't bothered by it. I still got pretty good bass extension. And
then we got the RBH 85i have dynamic and bass extension well past what anyone should reasonably expect of a loudspeaker of its size and pricing. So again, 85i speakers gave the film experience a big screen sound.
Yeah, I mean, they work fine. I mean, you could use these. I mean, I just had those 2 speakers, and I watched some movies with them, and like, I didn't have any problems with it. I mean, maybe with like a larger speaker or a speaker system sub would give you like a fuller, like a more like, a bigger sound or whatever. But like, these are surprisingly good given the size. So if you don't want a giant speaker but you want a great sound, these are pretty good. These should definitely be really high on your list of options. Consider these strongly, I would say.
All right, well, there you have it, guys. Again, read the review down below in the video description if you want to get all of James Larson's findings, notes, and subjective and objective facts on the speaker. Guys, if you like this video, please hit the thumb up, hit subscribe. Don't forget about our Patreon channel at patreon.com/audioholics. We appreciate your support. You get direct access to me if you want to suggest video topics. James, thanks again for taking all this effort and taking the speaker outside. Just give a thumb up just for the fact that James takes these things outdoors to test them. It's a lot of work on his part. We really appreciate that.
Thanks for having me.
All right, guys, until next time, keep listening.